What's going on YouTube? It's Donnie B All day. I'm going to do something different for you today. I'm going to teach you how to build a primitive shelter and something that you could survive in if you were stuck outside in the cold or the heat, or in your backyard because your mom locked you out. We're going to go over just a basic skill that everybody should know: emergency shelter, because you never know if you're going to be stuck. Now, generally the people that I'm reaching out to are, well, if you're looking at knife videos or if you're looking up primitive videos on different things, then you're the kind of people that are going to be using this skill. It's for hikers and campers and people who, trek cross country, or if you're driving out to the middle of nowhere and your car breaks down. This is a good thing to know. You always want to be able to know how to take care of yourself. So we're going to do this from a hiker's perspective, somebody who's out with the thought of already being out in the woods, but not necessarily the thought of maybe being stranded in the woods. So let's say you're going out for a hike, or you're going out trekking somewhere in the wilderness. Generally, if you are half a brain intelligent, whenever you walk out into the woods, you have a knife. This one right here is the Condor Moonshiner, and probably one of the greatest camp knives ever made. If you're lucky enough to have one of those, which is what I would probably have, great. If not, at least something like this. This is the SE Avispa, D2 steel, sharp, strong, able. Always have a knife, because when it comes to building shelter, do you need a knife? No, you can build a shelter without one. It just makes things a little bit more handy. So what we're going to do is we're going to build a miniature scaled down version of my favorite shelter. And the walls are made up, it's just weaving. You're going to find branches much bigger than this. Imagine this is an actual branch. You're going to find branches like this, and you're just going to weave them between other branches that you put into the ground. And I'm going to show you that on a small scale. I believe each wall, when you weave a wall like that, I think it's called a wattle wall. Don't quote me on that. If you know, shit, comment below, say, hey, idiot, it is a wattle wall, or idiot, this is what it's called. But we're basically going to make a wattle wall here. And then I'm going to show you how to make a cold weather version of the same thing for extra protection, or a longer stay primitive wattle wall or shelter. All right, so stick with me here. We're going to get going. All right, so basically what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go out into the woods, and you're going to fetch yourself a bunch of branches. Not so much logs, because you need something that you're going to be able to carry and not tire yourself out, especially if you're low on food rations. But you want branches, 1 inches to 2 inches thick, maybe even smaller than that, a ½ inch would even do. But something long. You're going to want some at least 6 feet long. That's variable. You can literally go anywhere between 4 and 8 feet to really get good weaves going. But the length of your sticks depends on how far you're going to put your posts. And what you want to do is you're going to take some branches, and if you have a knife or a rock, you're going to use, or another stick, your means to hammer them into the ground. Now imagine this is going to be bigger, so what you would realistically do is, and this is where a knife comes in, you would want to sharpen one of the edges of your sticks, and then you are going to hammer them into the ground. Since we're doing a mini version, I'm just going to show you like this right here. So we have that guy right there, we have that guy right there, and obviously I don't need to sharpen it because it's pretty easy to drive into the ground. So being a scaled down version, you can imagine that depending on how big I want to make my structure, first of all. And remember, if you're talking cold weather, the bigger the shelter, the harder it is to harness heat. So In cold weather, you want a smaller shelter. Remember that. So basically, we're gonna set up a bunch of these, and let's see, I'll get one more in there. And this is the base of my wattle wall right here, right? So now this is where I get my longer pieces, and I'll even, you know, use some different sizes and whatnot. But basically what you want to do, you just want to start, and you want to go in between, and you want to press that one all the way to the ground. Now here, obviously this one's a little shorter, so now I'm going to weave it from the opposite direction that the last one started, and now I'm going down this way, right? So now this one I'm going to start over here, since that one was a different size, and I'm going to put my little wattle wall branch in there. Now what's going to happen is eventually you're going to start to build up, and you're going to end up with a wall, hence the wattle wall. So here I go. Now remember, you don't have to smush them crazy tight. You just want to get them on there so they stack well, and I'll show you why that's important in a little bit. But so once we have all these down here, and I obviously didn't bring enough sticks to show you a full scale wall, but enough to where you're going to get the gist of it. So here we go. So here's my wall as it starts, right? And you can see this little weave here, right here, right? Now basically what I would do is I would make here, 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 right? And I would make this a square, leaving myself a space for a door. Or what some people like to do, depending on your style or not, some people will dig a hole under so they can get under. I think that's stupid. Some people will literally build it complete and then cut themselves a little door. It's all on, it's really on you. If you wanted to cut yourself a little hole through there, that's fine. But what you could do is just make it short here to here, and there you go. There's your door is going to be automatic. So now I was telling you about if you're going to be staying for a longer amount of time and this and that, and you're going to be out in the cold, here's what we do. We take another set of sticks, right, and we're going to put them right in front of the other ones. So I'm going to drive down some branches in between. This is why I use branches, not twigs. But in between the ones you already have set up, so you have a gap in between. Let me just, it's breaking. This is why you don't build shelters out of twigs, boys and girls, because twigs are weak. So here we go. I'll just take this and push it into the dirt. So now you're imagining I'm actually hammering pieces into there. So now, debris. What we do is you go out and you gather leaves, and you gather, you know, branches that are going to look like this. You know what I mean? Some pines if you have them. And what you want to do is you want to stick all this debris in between this spot right here. Now, you're only going to put a little bit, like a little bit of base first, because you don't have a wall yet. I'm just trying to show you. So now what I would do is I would take more branches and start my weave all over again, just like I did there to start it. Now obviously I didn't bring enough material out with me, so which I can go get in the woods easy, but basically you're going to make a second wall just like this one. You're going to build it up and you're going to fill it with debris, and what that's going to do is you're going to have a buffer. Now you're going to have no wind coming through, and so basically, you know, it would look like this from the inside. You wouldn't see through, right? This would be your inside wall, and obviously that would be your outside wall, and your outside wall would look just like your inside wall, stuffed with all this stuff. Nothing's coming through. You're safe from animals. You're safe from weather conditions. Now, let me get you over there. So basically, just doing that and doing that times 4, you're going to end up with some very, very solid walls. So to make a roof, you're going to take more long branches, and all you're going to do is find branches that are slightly wider than your shortest distance. So if your shelter is longer than it is wide, you obviously don't want to go the long way. You want to go the shortest way. You're going to put your branches going across the top from wall to wall, and then you're going to use as much of anything like this, or any kind of branches with leaves still attached, something with mass, and you are just going to absolutely coat the top. So your shelter, your roof, is going to have this effect, right? So it's going to have sticks underneath, a lot of them, and then you're going to have this crap up top. And what you're going to do is you're going to build yourself a nice roof, make it as thick as possible. But remember, you have to have enough of these guys going across, otherwise this is just going to cave in. Now, as far as fire, you're thinking, I just built something out of wood. Making a fire is probably not going to be that smart. Well, you know what? People survive, and you need fire to survive. So don't think that it hasn't been done before. All you need to do is put a little belly of rocks on the floor, give yourself a little air hole in the top, and that's pretty much all you need for a chimney. I mean, remember that the small shelter that you make, you don't need some giant roaring fire to keep the heat inside. You only need a tiny little fire. And this is even if you're in a cold weather climate. If this is something that you need because you're going to be stuck for a day to 3 days and you're waiting for somebody to come get you, who gives a shit? Don't worry about the fire. You're going to survive. What it comes down to is, if you need a fire, if you need to cook, if you need to sanitize water, water sanitation, this and that, if you need a big fire, do it outside the shelter. If you need a fire just for warmth, basically all you're doing is leaving yourself a little air hole. You're going to build a very small fire patio out of stone, and you're going to build a tiny fire inside, just enough to keep warmth in. And when you have all this debris tucked away in between these walls, believe me, you are going to have that warmth stay with you. It works out very well. If you want to make it even better and keep your warmth even more secure and tighter, and you want to, in case of rain, you don't want water coming up onto you while you're laying down, you can use basically, let's just tear this apart. Let's tear this apart. So now you're inside your shelter. You're going to take some sticks and you're going to lay them across this way, and then you're going to lay some more across this way. Right? You're going to make a floor basically here. You're just going to get yourself off the ground. So now you're going to take some more debris, some soft debris, and you're just going to lay it across after, well, I didn't even show you, after you take twigs. So you want smaller pieces to go over the top of your flooring. That way it buffers the softness. Bada boom, bada bing. That right there I could lay on top of and be very, very comfortable and be very, very warm. So wattle wall shelter building, it's so easy. You don't have to cut down gigantic trees. You can literally use branches the size that you can break off with your hands, and make yourself a very, very strong shelter. And that's one good thing too, is for windy conditions and things like that, that shelter is very, very strong. Keeps you safe, keeps you secure, keeps you warm, and it keeps you right. So I hope you learned a little something today. I'm Donnie B All Day, and until next, well, video, I guess.